Hi and welcome to Spam Minar, the Society of Props Managers webinar series for live theater prop professionals. Hello, I am Mia Jumbo. I work at Ithaca College as the production manager and props area mentor. I've only been there for about a year and a half, but before that, I was at Binghamton University for 2 years as a props supervisor and an assistant technical director. I've been in the field in various positions for, I think, 13 years at this point. I kind of lose track. They all blend together. The Society of Props Managers, known as SPAM, was formed in 1994 by a small group of prop professionals in the Midwest to address issues of common importance and to create parity with other production departments. Today, we are an association of about 150 plus prop professional managers and educators for not-for-profit producing organizations, opera companies, and educational institutions. We've built an international communication and support network that shares resources, information, solutions, and techniques, as well as safety information, continue education, and stock. As previous spaminars, we are requesting pay what you can donations to help support this programming and our annual grants for early career prop professionals. If you can afford to donate, links to donate will be in the chat. We truly appreciate any help you can give. We have enabled live transcriptions for this webinar. If you'd like to use them, click on the live transcript button on the bottom and then select show subtitle. Alternatively, you can click view full transcript to see it in the meeting side panel. All right. Okay. So we want to welcome our presenter for tonight. I'm joined by our SPAM member, Freed. Hello.
Hi.
Freed is the owner of Being Freed, a full-service web design company that specializes in building distinctive and affordable websites for small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and creative professionals. Freed will be talking with us about how to optimize your portfolio websites to get the biggest bang from your web presence. Wow, lots of P's today. Please feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat, and I will go ahead and ask your question. We will also leave a little bit of time at the end to pose your own questions if you would like. All right, Bree, do you want to take it away?
Oh, hi. Let me arrange my windows a little bit here and share my screen. Well, first, no, share my screen. There we go. Share. Okay. Can you see my blue Spaminar screen?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay, good. Um, so I oh, how do I, let me make sure I can get, there we go. This is me. My name is Freed. I've been a property shop man. I worked in theater for 24 years. I was a property shop manager at 3 different theaters, La Jolla Playhouse, Intiman Theater, and Seattle Children's Theater, for a total of 16 years of managing shops. And I built shops, built props in 3 different cities in the United States. Very much enjoyed it. And when the pandemic hit and sent us all home, I decided I would start building websites. And that I got that idea because I wanted to rebuild the spam website. We had a website that was not serving us well, and we needed a new one. So I said, I'm going to learn how to do that. And I really enjoyed it. So I kept on this trajectory. So Being Freed LLC is my website company, and C Freed, I make ridiculous apparel. Those are my little gay scuba tanks. A couple of notes about this presentation. So I've narrowed the definitions and some of the descriptions to what we're talking about today, specifically about this. Some of the things that I'm going to talk about have broader definitions and broader applications, but I really just am talking about building websites and optimizing to get your website, your portfolio website seen. And this PowerPoint is full of links. And once we put it up on YouTube, we'll put a link on YouTube so you can download the PowerPoint and you can hit the links and find the materials. So, just jumping into it very quickly, I'm going to start with some really simple things. I think most of us probably know what a search engine is, but just in case, a search engine is an index at its core. It's an index, it's a catalog of all the websites. Ideally, it's all a catalog of all the websites in the world. Whether or not they're all on there, it's a good question. So the way that they work is they crawl websites, which is to say that they search through the data that's on there so that they can understand the content that's on there. And then they take their algorithm. And when somebody says, I want to find a website about properties, and they put those search terms in there, the search engine says, here are the websites I think you should look at. So those are called search results. When you Google and you get a whole page of responses, those are search results. So if you look at the bottom of this slide, you'll see um, where's my cursor? There we go. These will, when you get the PowerPoint, you can go on this. I have on my website, beingfreed.com, I have uh, blog posts that are like 3 to 5 minute reads. Each one does one specific thing, talks about one specific thing. So I have links to these throughout this presentation. At the bottom of each blog post is further reading. So if you're interested in learning more about what's on each particular page of this PowerPoint, go to those, look what I have, or just go down to the bottom. There are links, 3 to sometimes 6 or 8 links for further information on these things. So search results. So what is search engine optimization? It is a series of steps that you take to tailor your website so that search engines understand the purpose of your site, your page, or your post. You do different optimization for different things. You do optimization for your whole site, some for your whole page, some for your posts, some for your images and your media. And the way that you write your copy can also be optimized. And we're going to go over all of those things. Once the search engines know the purpose of your site and the audience that you're looking for, then they can show your site to people who they think you want to see it. So it's very important for you to make sure that search engine knows what you're talking about and who you want to reach. So zooming out on what a website is content and it's code. The content is everything you put up there. It's all of your words, it's all of your pictures. If you have a link to your YouTube video, if you have a form for people to fill out, that's all content. The code is the framework that you put your content within. Right? We all know HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Those are languages. Those are codes that help the internet know what to do with your content. And if you have questions, as Maya said, just put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer things as they come up. There are a few keystones for website SEO. Your site and your page structure, and I'm going to talk about each one of these things as we go. I just want to give a little overview before we get too far in. Site and page structure, using keywords. I'm going to show you how to research keywords and how to work them in. Responsiveness, accessibility, metadata, and schema. Responsiveness is making sure that your site works on various devices, laptops, tablets, phones. Accessibility is making sure that people with different abilities can access your website. Metadata and schema, this is all stuff that's in the background that you can't see, your visitors can't see, but it's helping them find you. So let's start with site structure. You want to choose a structure that matches your content. And you want to plan your content so each page or post addresses one topic. So let's look at the one that's all the way over on the right, linear. Say you're selling t-shirts or you're selling paintings. The top one is your landing page. Here's the painting that I want to sell you. Somebody clicks buy, they go to the payment page, then they go to the shipping page, and then they go to the buy page, right? That's a linear progression. So there are some things you're going to want to do that have that linear progression. Hierarchical, say you're selling 20 paintings, right? You have 20 paintings, and some of them are acrylic and some of them are oil. And then you've got sculptures, and you've got those sculptures. You might want to have, here's my artwork, here are my oil paintings, here are my acrylic paintings, here are my sculptures, and then each of your pieces go below that in a post or a page. That's hierarchical, right? One relies on the one above. A webbed one is one where each page you can access it from each one, and it doesn't matter where you go from one to the next. For example, on my website, I have my homepage, I have my About Freed, I have my library, which is uh, my blog posts, and then I have my portfolio page, and those four are in a menu across the top, and you can get to any of them from any page on the website. It doesn't matter how you bounce around, as opposed to that linear thing where you want to go from one page to the next. So, depending on what your content is, you have to think about how you want to structure that. Um, the thing about planning the content so that each page addresses one topic, you will put schema. Remember, I talked about schema and metadata, and I'll describe that a little bit later. You want to make that match each page. So for my homepage, that is just those are my services. I want to say these are the things that I'm selling. My portfolio page, I'm saying these are the things that I've done, and I've made all of this metadata about that page that says Google, when somebody wants to see what I've done, give them this page. So that is uh, um, that is the second line there of plan the content. So each page or post addresses just one topic. Structured data. Okay, this has a lot of text in it. I apologize for that. Structured data is code. I'm going to read this and I'll elaborate as I go. And it's added to the background to help search engines understand your content. It's metadata, so it's to be seen by search engines and not by people. Metadata is data that describes other data. In this case, in the case of SEO, it can be code that describes your content, a description or a caption that describes your photo or your artwork, your say your videos, your YouTube links, whatever, or an alt description that describes your image for people who use screenwriters. If somebody is blind or they have severe hearing vision impairment, you have what you want to do is put a description. Say this is a painting of a stone sculpture on a beautiful sunny afternoon. Just describing what it is so that if somebody can't actually see the image, they'll know what the image is. SEO plugins like Yoast add structured data to your site. They add that code that nobody sees, but the search engines use to understand the content. Just a few years ago, I would have said, because Google can't look at a picture and tell what it is. Well, Google can look at a picture now and tell what it is. So actually, SEO is going through an enormous amount of change right now. If you look at Google search results right now, they look very different than they did even 6 months ago or a year ago, because now we're getting those AI descriptors up top, right? Where they're summarizing, and the websites don't even come in until a little bit later in the search results. So a lot of this, honestly, you have to really keep up on it as it changes. So schema.org, going back to the PowerPoint, that is an entity. It's a website, and it's an entity that major search engines use that provides common vocabulary. So SEMrush and Yoast, and there are all these different SEO plugins that you can use to add structured data and schema to your website. And whether you're working with WordPress or with Wix or Squarespace, or you write your own code, schema.org is the place where you find the code that you're going to use. Everybody uses the same thing, so that there's that standard. And I use Yoast. You'll see as we go through this PowerPoint, I'm going to talk about Yoast because that's what I use. But they all have their pluses and minuses. Once you get into building your website, you can see which one you like. Look at the different plugins for SEO. But I'll be giving examples from Yoast. So page structure and headings. Headings are very important. They act as a page index, allowing readers to glance down the page and decide whether they want to stay and read the whole post or if they want to go away. WordPress has 6 steps in heading hierarchy, and and WordPress is where I work. I don't work in the other ones, but I believe that 6 is across the internet, and this is how uh, the structure of the page is laid out. Let me go to the next one. I'm going to explain it a little bit more. So you use the headings hierarchically as you would in a scholastic paper or in a book. And you don't want to skip the heading levels. Search engines and people, they'll use these to people who use screen readers. What they do is they tab through the page, they tab through the content. So the tab will go from heading to heading to heading. So you want to make sure that you're using them hierarchically. Don't skip from heading 1 to heading 3. You always want to have heading 2 in between. Are there any questions so far? Is everything making sense? I'm gonna take nothing as a yes. Responsiveness. So this is how well a web page adjusts its appearance and layout on different screens and shapes, different screen shapes and sizes. And because your website has to work everywhere on computers and tablets and phones. You may remember, you see these less and less, but on older websites, sometimes you would pull out your phone and you'd be looking at it like this, and the text would just run off the side of the phone. So you'd run it over like this, and it would still just run off the side of the phone. That was not optimized to work on different devices, right? Um, this is different than doing something like graphic design where you put an image in a place and it stays there and it stays that size and you have the copy that runs around it. On a website, depending on what device people are using, the the elements move around on the page and you have to learn how to design so that they move. I use a page builder called Elementor. It's very good at helping me lay out. I can be very precise about how I do things while leaving that mush. WordPress has gotten better and better about that. Wix and Squarespace, they do those. I believe you work with pre-formed modules, so that's all built into that. But it's very important. On responsiveness, sometimes things will look really good in one device, but they won't look good in another device. Once you get I'm going to explain this in just a sec. Once you get your website up and you have a little bit of data, say you've had it up for a month. I host in SiteGround, and these 2 images come from SiteGround. This one and this one. I can go into my SiteGround interface and look to see what browsers people are using, what operating system people are using, what kind of devices they're using. Are they looking on iPhones? Are most of my people coming in on mobile devices, or do they look from tablets? Are they Apple people? Are they Windows people? And if you see that there's a trend, you have a lot of people coming from a very specific thing, you might want to look at your site on one of those devices and make sure it makes sense. Or there are also websites where you can look and say, I want to see this as it looks on this device. And you can look that up. It's really important. When somebody comes to your website for the first time, you have an average of 3 seconds before they click away. If they like what they see, they'll stay, but you have 3 seconds to grab their attention. So having that responsiveness is really important depending on, what device they're coming on. Okay. Media SEO. So media is any image, video, download form, audio, embedded content, anything that's a visual element as opposed to a copy or text element. There's specific SEO that you do for these things. Um, Media SEO is the practice of formatting, sizing, compressing, labeling media, all so that it benefits your site. So it's not just there and not helping you. You can add SEO to almost anything on your website. And media, there are a lot of places to add SEO to media. We'll start with sizing and formatting. What you really want to do is size your and format your media so that it has the level of detail you want, because we're visual artists, right? We want to make sure that people can see what we're selling. We want them to be able to really see what you did on that set, or with your scenic painting, or with your props. You want a high level of detail, but you don't want the file size to be so big that it takes too long to load. Remember, again, you have 3 seconds. If your file takes 5 seconds to load, they're already gone. It needs to load really fast. So you have to find that balance between the level of detail and the file size. So general good practice, use the smallest file size possible. Most websites you can get with a maximum image width of 1920. So most of the images that I use on my websites are, if I'm doing something that's the whole width, then I'll do 1920. I often do 1200 or I'll do 600. So, but people will put ones up there that are 4000. They come right out of their phone and they load it right up from their phone, and it's a giant file. That's not optimized, right? That actually hurts you. You want to make sure that it's only as big as you need it. So two of the three kinds of files that you'll use primarily, JPEGs. The file is smaller, so it loads faster, but it's what's called lossy, which is to say, if you zoom in on it, it becomes pixelated really quickly. So you have to decide, do you want it to be pixelated, or do you want people to really be able to zoom in on it? If you use a PNG file, they can zoom in better. And so it's more scalable, and it's transparent, which is nice. Say you want to load images over each other, you want to have one image that just kind of, fades over the other. I mean, we're artists, right? We want to do arty things. So the transparency of PNGs sometimes is really desirable, but the file size is bigger, so they take a little bit longer to load. And then if you have the possibility with your host, this is often happens with your host, or you can use a plugin for this. Once you put your media into your website, convert the images to WEBP. Just a sec. This is, when you right click on an image and you want to download it, sometimes you get a JPEG, sometimes you get a PNG. Whatever they put up there, that's what you get, right? Whatever the web designer loaded onto the website, that's what you get. But sometimes you'll click on it and you'll get an HTML. And you're like, I can't use that. That doesn't work for me. That's a WEBP image. That compresses the image so much that it makes your site load so much faster. So if you have the option to do that, do that. I do that on all of my websites, and even ones where I want people to be able to zoom right in on the images, you still get really good crystal clear images. And you can do that either through your you'll do it through some plugin, depending on how you're building your website. And then media metadata. So metadata, I mentioned this earlier, it's data about data. So you have, say, a photograph that is your picture's name, the alt text, the caption, the description. I'm going to go to the next slide, and then I'm going to come back to this one. So this image right here, this is the Yoast panel for an image. So this little seagull, this is my favicon. And there are 4 different places I can add metadata to this. The name is part of it. The name of the file is Being Freed LLC favicon. So if somebody right clicks on that and downloads it to their computer to use it, that's the name that they're going to get. So they know it's mine. They can change that if they want, but to start with, they're going to see that. Right here, the alt text. This is what screen readers do show. So if somebody who's blind is searching through the page, it's going to read that out to them. There's a picture here, and it is a picture of a seagull. It's a whatever I've written on there. That's what it's going to say. The caption is the little text that's underneath. You know, everybody knows what the caption is. A description. This is a place where you can just put whatever metadata you want. And so I'll often put the name of the business for my for my Seafried, my apparel company. My target audiences are scuba divers, ukulele players, and queer people because that's me. I'm a queer scuba ukulele player, right? It's absurd, I know, but I have all of those things, all of those keywords down in there, all of those hashtags basically down in there. So if people is searching for those words together, one of my images might just come up. So it's just a way to add a little bit more metadata. So going back up to the slide above, metadata makes your media searchable via words. Um, Now, newly, you can search via, image, but you can search via words, as I just described about the favicon. It makes it understandable for people who have sight issues, and it gives information about the media when it's detached from your site. I just covered all three of those things. So labeling your media, a few things. When you name your media, name it something that makes sense. Once your website gets bigger, say you have 100 images or 700 images, I sell t-shirts, right? And hoodies, and I might have 10 different colors. So there are 10 images of that one t-shirt. As soon as I have 7 items, I have 70 images. They build up really quickly. So make sure that whatever you name your images makes sense to you so you can find them later. That's not SEO, that's just good practice for you. But again, when somebody does inevitably download it, make sure that it has your name on there. And then also copyright your media if possible. If you're using Photoshop, that gives you an opportunity to add copyright information. And that way, if somebody does end up using it, you can say, excuse me, this has a copyright on it, right? So that, and I'm sure there are plenty of other ways that you can add copyrights to your images. Copywriting and SEO. Okay, so copywriting for SEO is its own thing. It's like poetry is its own thing, and each kind of poetry is its own thing. Copywriting for SEO really is advertising. And so you want to tailor it to advertise what you're selling. And even if you're selling yourself, right? So really you're writing for two audiences. You're writing for search engines because they need to understand what you're selling, and you're writing to your audience. So for search engines, you're going to include keywords and key phrases, and I'm going to cover those in a subsequent slide. Keywords and key phrases, so search engines understand what you're selling and who you want to sell it to. For your audience, when you're writing your copy, don't write it from your perspective. Write it from the perspective of your audience member. The way that people find you is by entering search queries, right? So you want your copy basically to have those queries in it because that's how they're going to find you. So as you're writing your copy, think about how, if somebody's looking for this information that I'm trying to get out there, what are they going to look for? I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit, that's a little hard to describe, and sometimes it takes people a little bit to get there, but keep that in mind. It might become clearer as we go. So copywriting guidelines. People don't read, they skim. They just won't read. If you have 3 paragraphs, they're never going to read it. So be really concise. Outline content with the headers. Remember, we talked about the heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. Break it up with that. I try not to have more than 2 paragraphs between headers, because what that does is it lets people skim through the page and decide, find what they're looking for, and decide whether or not they're going to stay. Dot points and lists are really excellent. Those are good for people because they can take in the information quickly, but also it's good for SEO. Search engines really understand lists. Use keywords, working them into the copy naturally. Again, we're going to go through that in just a minute. And then if you're using an SEO plugin like Yoast, use their tools. I'm going to go into that right now. So remember back here, I showed you this section. I have worked on websites that somebody else built. They put Yoast on the website, but they didn't fill in any of the fields. So they went halfway and then they stopped. That is actually bad for your SEO because what you've done is you just added a lot of code that's not serving any purpose. And all code that you add makes your site slower. So coming back here, use the tools. I'm going to read this. So Yoast and similar SEO plugins give you a variety of tools, but they do you no good if you don't use them. Adding the plugin without filling in the fields, that's what I just said, it's actually worse than and not adding the plugin because it bloats your code without adding value. The image to the right is Yoast SEO's premium analysis of a well-written SEO-focused post. So I know this is hard to see, but up here, you can see there's a little green smiley face. That means overall, this page is good. If you go down these dots, what Yoast uses green, orange, and red dots to tell you whether or not these different points have been met. You can see I have 3 red dots, but all of these green dots add up to an overall green rating. This they grade you on images, key phrases, keywords, your title, your length, whether or not you've used the keywords and the key phrases before, um, all a whole bunch of different metrics, and then they give you an overall rating. And you don't have to have green on every single one. In some of my posts, there's nothing else to link to, or I have nothing else to say. They want you to have 300 words. Sometimes all I'm putting up is a link to a YouTube video. So I don't have 300 words, and that's fine. I've decided that for that post, I don't need that, right? You don't have to get 100% on every single one. You have to get what's appropriate for the one that you're doing, right? I have 50-ish posts on my website, so I'm not worried about a few of them not having all green dots. But this is what you can get when you go through and you make sure you fill in all their fields. And if they give you a red or an orange rating, they'll tell you what's wrong, so you can go back and fix it. It's a really good plugin, actually. I like it a lot. So keywords. I've mentioned these a few times. Keywords are known as search terms. They're kind of like hashtags, right? You can search and find things via hashtags. Keywords are used by search engines to find the content, right? So a single keyword is a single word that represents your topic. Search engines use keywords to understand your purpose and direct traffic to your site. Properties, that one word is a keyword. A focus key phrase is 1 or 2 words that you use to define the theme of a specific page or post, right? So I'm doing a post about theatrical properties. I can use theatrical properties as the focus key phrase. That's for a page or a post. Long tail keywords are longer. They might be 3, 4, 5. And these are long tail keywords that you use them in your copy. You work them in naturally. So something like theatrical properties for musicals, you might have a sentence that says, I have been building theatrical properties for musicals since 1922. I want to meet the person who's been doing that. But you work these into your copy, and that gets even more granular. So the more specific you are with these long tail keywords, you tailor them to very specific people that you want to get. The more specific they get, the more specific your audience gets. So how do you find keywords? You're going to know some keywords. Obviously, theatrical properties, musicals, these are things that we know. But if you want to know what people are searching for right now, there are some tools. Answerthepublic.com. You have to make a membership for this, but it doesn't cost anything. And when you do that, you get 3 free searches a day. So you put in 2 words, theatrical properties, it'll give you a page. There are 3 different pie charts it gives you that give you phrases that people are Googling today, that they're Googling right now. So say you're building a blog post about theatrical properties, you can go in there and pull maybe 5 phrases that are long tail keywords, and you work those into your copy naturally. And Google's going to go, hey, we know what this page is about. We know what this post is about. And it's things that people are looking at right now. Another thing to do with that that's really similar is go to Google what you're doing, go all the way down to the bottom of the search results, the bottom of the page, you'll see people also search for. And it usually gives you 8 or 10 different things to look at. Click on those or just look at those and see what those are. So you just dig in a little more and more and more, and you can find more phrases that you can add in there. And that's the way to attract. You can't tell Google, I want you to do this. What you can do is give Google a lot of hints, and what you're doing is you're attracting. You're trying to attract an audience. You can't, Google they're famous for being very secretive about their algorithm. I mean, that's how they make their money, right? They're not going to tell you exactly how to use it. You have to just use every little tool you can find. It's about using, 100 different tools, not just making one thing perfect, because things change. SEO is a moving target. You just keep up on it. So other ways, ask your current clients, like, how did you find me? What words did you use? What did you put into Google? Ask your peers what's working for them. Another thing that you can do, once you have your website up and you've been up there for a little while, claim your website on Google. And there's a link here, this support.google.com business, blah, blah, blah. Claim your business and claim your website. Google will tell you, they have a whole analytics dashboard that tells you everything. They'll say, this is the post that people read the most. This is the page that people read the most. They also will tell you what operating systems and what kind of devices people are using. That is absolutely invaluable for once you get going, for people to be able to, for you to know who's accessing, where they're accessing from. Are they all in the United States? Are you attracting a lot of people from Australia? You might be. Well, maybe then you want to address them, specifically. You just don't know until you see how people are doing it. So those are some really good resources right there. Hyperlinks. How are we doing on time? It is 8:40. I think we're doing okay. 3 types of hyperlinks. There are 3 types of hyperlinks. Internal links go from one part of your site to another part of your site. Say I have a post that is about image SEO, and I have another post that's about accessibility for images. I can put a link from one post to the other post, say, read this other post of mine, it'll tell you more about this. So those link within, and that's really helpful for sorry, I was just looking at the chat. That's really helpful for search engines to understand how your content relates to each other. External links are links that go from your website out to another website. So I mentioned that at the bottom of each of my posts, there is there's further reading, and those are external links. So I'm saying you should go there as well, but not until after you read my stuff. Backlinks are links that come from another website to your website. And those are very, very valuable. Say they add credibility to your site. They tell search engines that other experts trust your work. So then that last paragraph, if a blogger adds a link to your post from their post, then that says to Google, hey, this person trusts this post. That's really good. That gives you authority. That's the term they use for it, is authority. Um, and if that blogger is well established and has good authority on their from their site, then that gives you even more authority. So getting backlinks is really good. Do not pay for backlinks. People will say, I will sell you backlinks. I will make sure that you have backlinks. Google knows what that is and they will penalize you. They don't tell you how they'll penalize you. They've changed it through the years as to how they'll penalize you for doing that kind of thing. But you can get backlinks from LinkedIn. Put up a LinkedIn profile and put a link to your website. Uh, Find other people who do what you do. Like if you are a member of Spam, tell me. I built a Spam website. We have a page that has links to all of our members' websites. Everybody who has a website, we'll put it up there. That gives you a backlink. See if you can get interviewed by somebody. See if another blogger will repost your blog. That gives you a backlink. As many backlinks as you can get, that's all good for your SEO.
All right, Free, do you want to answer this question real quick
Okay, what's the
before we go?
question?
Question is from Patrick. In a beginning career, is it better to have all skills um, and also projects broken apart on different areas of a website, or is it best to have everything together on one main page?
In the very beginning of your career, I would have your skills on one page listed as a resume or as skills, and I would have your work on another page because you can have going back to here, keywords, right? The focus key phrase, that's per page or post, right? So you can have your resume that can say resume is your focus key phrase, and your works of art can be your focus key phrase. So I would split those into two. That's how I've done them on all of the portfolio sites I've done. And that works well. And that's actually a good, that's leads me to another thing. When you put your resume in there, don't take a PDF of your resume and stick it on there. Put the information in, build your resume in copy. I have one client who will not let me build his resume in copy. He wants a PDF of his resume, but it can't be read properly with all of that text. So the way that I've actually gotten around that, because he's like, nope, this is how I want it to be. I like the way my resume looks. I want that to be on the page, is I have copied all of the copy from his resume and put it into the description, in the Yoast panel, that description page, so that all of that copy is in there. But the image, honestly, it looks terrible. But that it's his website, and that's what he wants me to do. So yeah, the answer is I would separate them out. Have a resume page and have a skills page and have a projects page. Does that answer the question? Okay. Um, Blogging. Blogging is really helpful for SEO. Um, but I'm gonna start this by saying don't start a blog if you are not going to be able to keep it up. Consistency is very, very important. It's better to not have a blog than to have a blog that you just throw things on once in a while. So that being said, blogging helps SEO because it keeps your site active. When Google sees that you're continually putting up fresh content, it says, this is really active and I'm gonna have new stuff all the time that I can offer my visitors. And so Google's going to be more likely to notice you. Best practices, high quality content. Don't just have ChatGTP write your blog posts. There are plenty of people who are doing that. I have been told to do that. I've been advised to do that. We already all know what ChatGTP sounds like, right? We already know. it's a good place to start. If you're like, give me an outline for this, and here are some of the salient points that I want to talk about, it's maybe a good place to start. I have certainly started things that way, but then take it, tailor it, make it your own, make it your own, use your own voice. And so it's a good tool to use, but don't just have it write your blog posts. Because honestly, then everybody's blog posts are going to sound the same. Then yours is going to be the same as everything else. It's not fresh. It's not high quality. Um, in one of these, I think this one, blog best practices, this goes into granular detail about how Google rates copy. There are four different criteria that it rates the copy on. And something that comes straight out of AI is not going to rate on those. Use categories and tags. Categories are hierarchical. Tags are like they're like hashtags. They're just keywords. For example, categories. I have a client who's a science writer. She has some blog posts that are published articles that editors have gone through and they've been published. And some of them are her blog posts where she's just like, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to talk about this. Very important for her to differentiate between those. So we have two categories on her site. We have blog posts and we have published articles. And then tags, we're like, okay, well, this is a science article. It's about microcomputers, or this one is about, telescopes, whatever. The tags are just keywords for search engines to say, oh, okay, this is what we're talking about this. And those are for use on just on blogs. Categories and tags are on blogs. They're not on pages. Uniform design. Everybody here is in the arts, so we understand the point of uniform design, but just quickly make it look the same every time. Have a world. Use the same color scheme, use the same fonts. Um, that goes a long ways. It makes it's branding and it makes your brand recognizable. Keyword use, we talked about that. Look up keywords for every single post. Each time you're posting, look up some keywords. Make sure that you're writing fresh content and working in keywords that are people looking for right now. Do a consistent schedule. And if you're gonna start a blog, I suggest starting it once a month. That sounds like not much, but it's a lot of work. And if you start every week and then, you skip a week and then you skip another week and then you skip another week, it's better to start with a wider cadence and work your way down. Start with once a month, go to every 3 weeks, every 2 weeks, and you'll see how long they take. And the more you do them, the faster they'll go. Um, that, and as you go, you'll fine tune your process. They'll just go faster and faster as you go. Oh, and one of these is the difference between pages and posts. I've got a post that's specifically on that. That's helpful, and there's one on categories and tags. Accessibility. This focuses on assuring that people with different abilities can use websites easily. These are pairing people with different kinds of site, different kinds of uh, color blindness, very important. So use the headings and clear page outlines for people who are using page readers. Alt descriptions, we talked about that for images, and color blindness, making sure that your images are good for color blindness. If you're making your own graphics, down here in this blog post, there's a link to a website that I use where I take my graphics and I look at it in the way that it'll be seen by people with different kinds of color blindness. Um, uh, this is the same image through the filters of different kinds of color blindness. Sorry. Oh. Um, so sometimes you'll have two colors next to each other that look really good, but then when you look in one filter, you can't tell one from the next. So you might have to like add a little texture to it or something, or change to a different color. So that is important. Accessibility is guided by law in different countries. The American with Disabilities Act article is right here. This is changing because of what's happening on our federal level politics right now. And the article that I looked at when I looked at this today was different than the one that I put on this website, put on this post when I built it. So that's changing. Uh, we're almost to the end here, so this is good. How do you know how well you're doing on these things? Google has this amazing tool called Lighthouse. If you, starting from the Google, you can't do this from Firefox or Safari. Start with Google, right click on a page on your website and choose Inspect. When you right click on the page, you'll get a little menu that pops up. Go all the way bottom, you see Inspect, and you'll get something like this. Here's the page that I was inspecting. And all the way over here is a thing that says Lighthouse. You click on that, and then right over here is going to be a button that says Analyze Page Load. You analyze the page load, and it's going to grade you on performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO. So it's going to tell you how you're doing. There's red, orange, and green. Of course, you want green. You don't have to have green. You have to be at par with your peers, right? So if all of your peers are on orange and you're on orange, then you're at par. But if you're all at orange and you have two green, then your site is doing better than their sites are. Your site is more likely to be put into search results. And with this is a screenshot, but if we were on that page, you can scroll down and it'll tell you exactly why you're getting the scores. It'll say, we're giving you dings on accessibility because you have a button that just says click here. And people you need to have that say, watch the video here, or something more specific. So it'll tell you very specifically, make this image smaller, do this with this button, do this with this list. They're very specific about what to do. And if you start out and you're all in the oranges, if you go through and you do all the things that they ask you to do, you're going to have all green. So that's how you can find out how you're doing. So summing it up, you're building your content and your code so that search engines understand what you do and whom you want to attract. That's what you're doing. That's it. And this is how you can find me. We'll put a link to this so that once this gets up on YouTube, you'll be able to link and download this PowerPoint, and then you can see all of these. In the meantime, all of the links that I had up there, if you go to beingfreed.com and go to my library, they're all in there. They're 3 to 5 minute. They're 3 to 5 minute reads, and whoa, let's bring everybody over here. They're pretty quick to get through. I wanted to make sure with my posts that each one just talks about one little thing. And really, I wrote my posts to my clients. My posts are all answers to questions that my clients have asked me. So I can say, when they ask me, I'll tell them, and then I'll say, and when you forget this 2 weeks from now, because you haven't thought about it again, click on this link and it'll explain it again. So does anybody have any other questions? I know I covered a lot, but when there's a lot to it. And honestly, I could go for another 2 hours. There's so much to it. That was really an overview. But anything you do will be helpful. And I would say for artist websites and for portfolio websites, the most important thing is your image SEO, making sure that your images have all that metadata on there. Very, very important.
Thank you so much, Freed. That was so informative. Really, really great talk. So great, so clear, and so bite-sized. Like, I really love the way that you have those little bite-sized, teachings in your website. That's really, really great. And yeah. So we just want to open up the floor now for any questions. You can feel free to type them in the chat if you don't want to voice them yourselves. If you want to just like pop on your video and your mic, you can do that, or just your mic, whatever you would like. So I'm gonna awkwardly leave like 7 seconds of silence so we can go from there.
And I'm going to jump into that 7 seconds of silence. I just put another link to there. This is my secret hidden theater of Freed website. I'm very humble when I name my websites. Um, this speaks to Patrick's question about putting your resume and your portfolio on the same page. I have my resume on one page on this site, and then I have theatrical work and I have furniture work. My degree is actually in furniture design. And then as soon as I graduated, I went right into theater. So, but I count them as different parts of my work. So I have that. And contrary to my advice, I have like 4 blog posts on there. I really have it. I've only used that for things that I wanted to do. I'm not really worried about people finding this website. I've used it to apply for a couple of jobs and just to tell people what I do with this, but I'm not that worried about SEO on this site. But it does answer that question that Patrick asked.
All right, great. All right, any last call? Any questions, thoughts, feelings?
If you're trying to showcase several different skills, does it make sense to differentiate them into several different pages or to kind of maintain those on one main page?
I think if you want people to find the skills individually, like say you do carpentry and scenic painting, right? I would do 2 different pages, because that way, especially when you're establishing yourself, that way you can be found for each thing. Um, it it's yeah, that's what I would do.
Thank
And
you.
if you look at that site that I just put up there, theaterofreed.com, that's what I've done there. I have my resume on one page, I have the theater work on another, and I have the furniture work on another, so that I really have put a differentiation between the theater and the furniture work. So sometimes you get into hierarchical ones where people have they'll have here's my portfolio, and then they have they'll have uh, sub menus, and say one of the menus has like 2 things in it and another menu have 3 things or 4 things. Then in that case, if you only have a few things, maybe just have like, here's my portfolio and it has 8 things in it. But if you really say you have 10 things for each of those things, then I would definitely go with 2 different pages. You don't want to make people jump around too much. If that does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right, anybody else got anything else they want to ask? Oh, cool. All right. Cool. All right. I'm gonna read the outro and send y'all on your merry ways. All right. So thank you so much for attending this lovely Spaminar this evening. I hope you found it fun and informative, all those good things. Thank you so much, Freed, again. So this is the moment where you should get your pens or Sharpies or your calendars, whatever calendar you use, and get ready to mark some important dates. All right, April 27th, which is my sister's birthday. We will be diving into our favorite things and talking about our favorite cutting devices used in prop shops. This will be with Jen McClure, and it's going to be really fun. Like I'm submitting some really cool things, so it's going to be a good time. On May 18th, Larry Heyman will lead a discussion on period styles and decor for the prop person in the history of chairs, how to recognize furniture from quite a long way away. Um, and we will have titles and details soon for our June 22nd and July 20th webinars. So mark your calendars now so you give yourself time to get really excited about those dates. And if you're interested in joining SPAM and you are a working prop manager in a nonprofit theater, opera company, or children's theater, or are an educator who teaches prop classes, please visit our website or click the link in the chat to fill out our membership form. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Links are in the chat. Spaminar is produced by the Society of Props Managers, with special thanks to SM members Patrick Drone, Freed, Ben Holman, Nikki Kulas, Jen McClure, Amy Peter, Sama Pugh, Sama, wow, okay. Sarah Pugh, Karen Robbie, and Helen Stratakis, I think. Anybody got a correction for me on that one?
Strategist.
Strategist. Okay, thank you. All right, thanks again for attending. Prop on, and we'll see you next time.